All right, ladies and gentlemen, joining us now is a Republican presidential candidate, past and present, former governor of the great state of Arkansas, Mike Huckabee. Hello, Governor.
Steve, great to be back with you. Thank you.
Always great to talk to you, and boy, is there a lot to talk about. First of all, great speech you gave there that I saw in Iowa yesterday.
Well, thanks. I was the first of the presidential candidates who mounted up on the soapbox and delivered a speech. It was a lot of fun. The State Fair of Iowa is an incredible event, and everybody now will go and probably do their best to convince the voters of Iowa at the State Fair, where people are really paying attention to speeches as much as they are to corn dogs.
All right. Now, you, of course, won Iowa in 2008. And I've recently heard it said in this context, well, Huckabee won it in 08, Santorum won it in 012, and now Trump is leading it. Iowa's not as important as it used to be. I heard that from Larry Sabato. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but that's why I did see the interview that he gave. So, I mean, is Iowa still what Iowa used to represent in your view?
Well, of course it is. I mean, to say it isn't is just not to understand the process very well. This is like the NCAA tournament in March. If you don't win in any of the early contests, you're not going to be in the Final Four. And sometimes I hear these pundits and they say Iowa doesn't matter, New Hampshire doesn't matter. Well, tell me who has become the nominee and the president who didn't win one or more of the first three contests. That would be no one. So this notion that it doesn't matter is simply not true. And a person can have an extraordinary amount of money and support. Let me give you an example. 8 years ago, at this point, Rudy Giuliani was way ahead of everybody else. He was in better shape than Donald Trump is in. But by the time the process came around, he ended up getting 0 delegates, because by the time we got to the state where he had decided to play, which was Florida, the debate had already been framed, and he wasn't in it. So he had spent $60 million on a campaign that ended up getting 0 delegates.
All right. Now, there's no analogy to be made there as far as not participating in the process to that point with Trump and Rudy, but you did put them in the same vein there for a second. So let me ask you, do you think that eventually Trump will suffer the same fate as Rudy did?
Not necessarily. I mean, I think his support is very real. People are passionate. A lot of it comes from a big portion of the electorate who's just angry and frustrated. And I understand, because, Steve, I'm angry. Heck, I went out and campaigned for Republicans in 37 states last year, believing that if we got the majority in both houses, that they would actually act like it. And they haven't. So I'm as frustrated as anybody, and I understand where that anger comes from. But this is a long process, and we have a saying in our team that if you're hot when it's hot, you'll be cold when it's cold. In other words, the candidates who are really on fire in the summer leading up before the contest actually begins usually have gone cold by then. And you can go back to the fact that this time in 2007, it was Rudy Giuliani, Fred Thompson, Mitt Romney, John McCain, and I was an asterisk. I ended up coming in second. McCain won. Giuliani and Thompson had dropped out. This time, 4 years ago, Michelle Bachmann, almost said Michelle Obama, Michelle Bachmann was leading. She was way out ahead. By the time the Iowa caucuses came around, she was in 7th place in Iowa.
No, very, very true. Very true. Let me ask you about something that took place today. Actually, let's listen to what John Kerry said in Cuba not that long ago.
I feel at home here because this is truly a memorable occasion. A day for pushing aside old barriers and exploring new possibilities. Our leaders, President Obama and President Castro, made a courageous decision to stop being the prisoners of history and to focus on the opportunities of today and tomorrow.
Ill-advised, Governor?
Very ill-advised. Like his Iranian deal, this is another one where we have given over to people who have been longtime enemies. They've been a government that has held political prisoners. They hold a murderer from the U.S. if they refuse to extradite someone who murdered a New Jersey cop. And somehow we think that maybe being able to buy cigars and rum real cheap in Cuba is worth giving over our principles. This administration continues to amaze in its complete nature of being utterly obtuse when it comes to how to handle people who have abused human rights. It seems like we reward people for doing bad things and punish people like Israel for doing good things. This administration and its policies won't end too soon for me.
No, you're absolutely right. And by the way, on Israel, you took a lot of heat for the ovens remark, which I think, as a Jew, thank you for that. Thank you for that. You're right on target. In the minute we have left,
well, Steve,
yeah, go
can
ahead.
I just
go ahead.
add that it was interesting that while there was some comments that pretended it was a terrible thing, the fact is, overwhelmingly, the support was very strong. And in fact, Zionist Organization for America, one of the strongest Jewish organizations, came out in strong favor of what we were doing.
Yeah, Mort
and
Klein's
I
group,
just
very
think
good
that it's
group, yes.
amazing that the media made it like the whole Jewish world was against me, and in fact, that's not the case.
Well, that's par for the course with the media. The media lives in an alternate universe, whether it's on abortion or whether they tell you the sky is green, the grass is blue, and if you don't believe it, there must be something wrong with you, as I always like to say. Anyway, yeah. So, but I want to again, I do want to thank you very much for saying that, and I support you 100%. You were absolutely positively right on that very, very important issue.